So the first 12 months of a business tend to be the rockiest, hardest, and most excruciating months of an entrepreneur's life. In today's video, I'm going to explain and basically give you details on my first 12 months in SMMA. I'm gonna tell you the truth. You've been lied to very heavily by a lot of people on the internet around what SMMA actually is and what it entails and how easy it is. I'm here to give you a very objective, cold, hard truth. I'm not here to sugarcoat anything. I'm not gonna tell you that it's easy. If anything, this video might slightly discourage you from starting an SMMA journey, but the intention of this is just to tell you the fucking truth, right? And it's just to be honest with you and just give you like a real clear sense of what you're actually getting yourself into. My name's Charlie. If you're new to the channel, it's good to have you. I've basically built and scaled 2 companies. I've actually ran a marketing agency of my own. I sold it recently, but I've been doing that for about 5 years. So I started my SMMA in 2018, and obviously we're now in 2022. So I've been about 5 years in the SMMA game before I sold it a couple months ago. I also run a coaching business that does multi-7 figures as well, and I built the agency to 7 figures, blah, blah, blah. Now, starting an SMMA is horrible. I want you to know that, and I'm gonna really just detail out the cold, hard truth of this thing, right? When you are starting your marketing agency, it's imperative and essential that you understand that you are putting yourself through or going to be putting yourself through something that's really hard and challenging. Most people on the internet are incentivized to tell you that social media marketing agency, the SMMA space, people tell you that it's an easy business to start, it's an easy business to scale and grow, and it's fun and it's easy and it's straightforward and you can just make as much money as you want and go and sit on a beach and do nothing. You've got to understand like incentives here, right? So anyone that's selling a entry-level agency course, like buy my course and I'll teach you to start your agency, they are incentivized to lie and tell you that starting an agency is easy. And they're incentivized to tell you that it's going to be straightforward and it's going to be fun, and you want to believe them, right? So their messaging, their marketing messaging aligns with what you actually want to hear, right? Whether you know it or not. Because if someone said, I'm going to teach you to start an agency, by the way, it's awful and really horrible and hard, and then someone else said, I'm going to teach you to start an agency and it's really easy, you're more likely to want to listen to the person who says it's easy because it already aligns with what you want to believe, right? It's the natural pain avoidance that we all have as humans. I want you to know that starting an agency is very, very, very difficult, especially if you're starting from scratch and have no previous business experience. You should only do it if you are in. And what I mean by in is you're willing to sacrifice multiple years of your life to nothing but the agency. So I've taught about 290 people how to build an agency. For the record, I sell a program that teaches people how to do it. I'm a little bit more transparent than other people. But what I've noticed is that out of everyone that I've ever served and worked with, the people that actually make it are the ones that actually commit. And most surprisingly, they're the ones that actually expect the difficulty and the pain, if that makes sense. You have to realize that like, if you're starting an agency, you're gonna experience serious pain. And most of those pains will be growing pains, right? Just as, you know, when you're a teenager, you grow up, you experience these pains of growth. When you're a human and you start a business, the business will require you to become more. It will require you to grow. So your personal growth will align with your business growth. And to grow as a person, to grow personally, like in yourself, it's going to take a lot of pain. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of actions. It takes a lot of overcoming doubts and fears. So that's another thing as well, is you're going to be in for a complete emotional roller coaster, whether you like it or not. It took me about 4.5 years to seriously detach my emotions from my business. The second I did that, that's when things really started to blow up and grow. However, if you're new, right, what's going to happen is you're going to attach your future to this agency, right? Everything you want and desire and everything you crave and all those psychological things you're trying to fulfill fundamentally rest on top of this fragile thing that you've started, this intangible, arbitrary creation of desire, this agency that doesn't even exist yet. And what that means is that with this agency, because all of your future and all of your hopes and dreams are intertwined with it, if anything happens to that agency that in any way, shape or form hinders it or prevents it from growing or potentially makes it fail, you will be so emotionally receptive to it. There's not really much of a way around that at the beginning, because other than recognition of these emotions, because they generally are pretty bad. But I've realized that like when I started my agency, I was so emotional about everything. But I knew that I expected to be emotional because I knew that if I lost a client, it would really hurt, because it would feel like you're not responding to losing a client, you're responding to losing the future that you crave and desire. So when you start an agency in this day and age, you have to expect it to be really hard and difficult. It's gonna take fucking thousands of hours of work. And I literally mean like tens of thousands of hours of work. To build it and to make it actually successful, it's gonna take at least a year, right? Anyone that tells you can go from 0 to 10K a month in 90 days is lying to you. Now, it's possible to do with certain variables if everything lines up perfectly. But in my experience, like to actually get to 10 grand a month, like it takes 1, 2, 3 years to do that, right? You're trying to build like a long-term sustainable future for yourself. And you know, you're probably pretty hooked on instant gratification, TikTok, Instagram, junk food and stuff. You probably receive gratification and reward from your efforts or lack thereof efforts immediately, right, in your life, whether it's through just, you know, opening Spotify and listening to a song or putting extra salt on food. You can just take these easy actions to receive dopamine and serotonin, right? A business doesn't work like that. The business is the antithesis of instant gratification. Business is just delayed gratification. And it's imperative you understand that, because if you hop into this space and you expect it to work immediately and you really do think, oh, this is going to be really straightforward and I'm just going to make a load of money without any problems, you're in for a nasty surprise. Running an agency is brutal. Building an agency is brutal. It's kind of like, I want you to sort of look at it like this, right? So you've got 3 stages when you're going through your agency journey. 3 definable stages that I've really mapped out going from 0 to 7 figures over the course of about 4 or 5 years with my agency. The first stage is starting. This is the most painful stage. Stage 1 is where you're starting the agency. It's an arbitrary idea. You call yourself an agency owner even though you don't have anything yet. But that's the most painful stage, because you've got all of these weird decisions to make. You've got to start trying to think differently. That's really like year 1, right? Year 1 is all about proof of concept. And what I mean by that is when you say you're starting an agency, what you're trying to start and what you're trying to establish is a proven set of variables that, if combined, produce a result on a micro scale. So what that looks like is basically your niche, your offer, and your service, right? You decide your niche, you decide what you're going to sell them, and you decide how you're going to sell it to them through the offer. What you're looking for is a combination of those 3 variables. You want to imagine starting an SMMA. It's kind of like having like a locked door in front of you, and the 3 variables make up the key. And all you're doing for the first year is just going in and twisting different keys, you know, and just trying different keys basically. And like, you generally want your niche to stay the same, but the offer and service can sort of change, and you can just basically change them. Now, once you've started, right, I define start as going from 0 to 10K a month, because going from 0 to 10K a month is messy, it's chaotic, it's hell, it's emotional. You will be required to work longer and harder hours than you ever thought you could. Like, I really want you to know that it fucking sucks, right? And I don't want this to discourage you, because I want it to, but I just want you to expect that you have to face the devil. Everyone thinks when they start it's going to be easy. And then what happens is, like, you have this like emotional leg break moment, right? Which is what I've talked about in my program before, where like you start, and if you're up here emotionally and you feel really excited and happy and confident and all this, and then like after 2 months, like the reality of actually building a company and an agency kicks in, then like the higher you are emotionally when you start with the amount of confidence you have, the further you have to fall when reality actually comes to check you. And the further you fall, the more likely you are to quit. So when I started my agency, like my mindset was like, I'm confident this will work, but I'm not gonna like expect anything to happen immediately, because if you expect things to happen immediately and they don't, then you get discouraged, you quit, right? That's kind of how it works. So that's the first stage, is starting. The second stage is growing, right? So you can only grow what like and scale what works on a small scale. So this is where the macro micro thing comes into play. So during your starting phase, what you're looking to do is establish a proof of concept and a set of variables that, if combined, basically produce a result, right? Which basically means signing a couple of clients, making a couple of $1,000s a month, and growing it to the point where you've got like 5, 10 clients, each paying you like, you know, 1, 2K a month or something. That's starting, right? 0 to 10K a month. Growing is when you take the set of variables that we know work and basically implement systems to introduce more clients to those systems, right? So what that means is you do more outreach, you do more ads, you do more inbound stuff, you produce more content. Growing is going from 10K a month to 50K a month, roughly, right? The third stage, right, which is the least painful. So the most painful is starting. The second most painful is growing. But most of the pain comes in that first. If you can withstand like the pain and emotions of getting from 0 to 10K a month, I'd say it's easier to go from 10K a month to 100K a month than it is to go from 0 to 10K a month. And that's kind of cool, because that's the growing stage. But running is the best stage. Running is my favorite part, because it's the least painful, and it's also like you're sat on the most success, so you're kind of already making it. But running is when you actually have a team, right? And this is the position that I found myself in recently before selling my agency, or the clients in my agency. Running is when you have a sales rep, you're running ads, right? Which means it doesn't require much manual work to acquire clients. It means client acquisition is taken care of. It also means you've got a team to onboard and deliver for clients, and you've also got someone to oversee the relationship between acquisition and retention, which is a manager and like a support person. You can run a 100K a month agency pretty much with a team of 5 people. To put it into perspective, we run a multi-7-figure coaching business. We've got 2 sales reps, 2 appointment setters, and an account manager. Now there's still some stuff that needs to be done, operations manager and such, but like running is the most exciting part, and running is where you want to get to. Running is when you can wake up and not work and your business will still make money. That's the exciting thing that basically awaits you after about 4 or 5 years of pain. I'll leave you with this in closing for this video because it's quite a negative one, but this is going to be a really weird metaphor, but I wanted to try and solidify this as hard as possible. So I want you to see growing your agency like stretching your hamstring. So this is going to sound strange. The more pain you're willing to sit in for the longer time, the more the muscle will grow, right? So with a hamstring, right, you're looking to stretch your hamstring so your hamstrings are flexible, for example. The longer you sit in the pain of a stretch, the more flexible the hamstring will be. Now that likens to an agency where the longer you're willing to sit in the pain of growing an agency, the more money you will make. So what I've observed is the best currency that you can expect or want from growing an agency and starting one, you don't want to make money. You want to absorb and digest as much pain as possible. The more painful it is for you to start and build and grow an agency, the more success you're actually going to have. The more pain you face and tolerate and withstand, basically the more successful you'll be. And so like, I'm always looking for pain, right? When I started my agency, I was like, right, bring it on, because I know that the worse I feel, the better I'm going to be doing in the long term. I want to make this video because it's important that everyone understands that starting SMMA is not easy. It's brutal, it's hard, it will drain you, it will take you and it will throw you against the wall and beat you up and bring you down and make you doubt yourself and wonder if it's all worth it and stuff. But I promise you it's worth it. You just have to sit in that pain for as long as you can tolerate. And truly the only key to succeeding with an agency is just pain tolerance. How long can you tolerate the pain? And if you tolerate it for long enough, then one day everything will click and things will grow and you'll feel great. So I wanted to make this video because a lot of people really struggle with agency growth, and I don't want you to be one of them. If you've got any video suggestions, pop them in the comments below. If you like the video, you can like it. And if you want to subscribe, I look forward to seeing you next video. Take care.